Have you ever thought about how something that seems almost, I don't know, simple on the surface could actually hold this uh, immense, like, revolutionary power? There's definitely a lot of buzz around it, a lot of confusion too sometimes.
Yeah.
Because this idea, it's really changing how we think about money, technology, and maybe, most importantly, trust itself. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack our sources. We've got this really fascinating transcript here to really get a handle on this phenomenon, Bitcoin. We want to break it down, try to put it in plain English, cut through the jargon, and really reveal the core insights. And we'll even use a powerful analogy, a pretty compelling metaphor to help make it all stick.
Yeah, and it's totally understandable if Bitcoin feels a bit niche. Or maybe you've just seen the price charts going wild. But the real story, as we'll get into, it's so much broader, much more significant than just the daily price swings. It's fundamentally about a new way to interact with value.
Okay, so let's unpack that. At its most basic level, what is Bitcoin, really? Like, beyond the headlines and all the hype, what's its essence?
Well, at its core, people often call Bitcoin the Internet of Money. Think of it maybe like any really groundbreaking app that just sort of stuck on the edge of the internet and boom, took off. What it really enables is peer-to-peer transactions, so direct transfers. Value between any two people, anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere, instantly, well, in seconds and for almost no cost. That capability, that kind of frictionless global movement of value, it genuinely hasn't existed before, not like this. And to give you a good analogy here, Bitcoin is basically a standard.
A standard?
Yeah, like a set of rules everyone agrees on for how to exchange digital value online. Just like the web itself is a standard for how we create and view pages in a browser, right? It's actually remarkably like sending an email. You need an app, you get a Bitcoin address, it's kind of like your email address, and you can just zap, send some Bitcoin across the globe.
App. I like that.
Yeah. Now, okay, it might still feel a bit geeky today, a bit like the internet maybe felt back in, say, 1992.
I remember that feeling.
But the user experience, it's getting simpler really fast, making it much more accessible for, everyday stuff.
That's a great way to put it, the email analogy.
Yeah.
So if it's enabling something so fundamentally new, what problem was it actually designed to solve? Like, what was wrong with the old ways?
Right. So historically, people tried to make purely digital money. You had things like David Chaum's DigiCash back in the mid-'80s.
Okay.
But they all hit the same wall, the double spending problem. How do you stop someone from just copying digital money, like copying a file and spending it over and over?
Ah, right. The copy-paste problem for money.
Exactly. And the old solutions always needed a central authority, a bank, a company, someone in the middle to check every transaction and say, yep, this is legit, hasn't been spent before. But when those centralized digital cash systems tried to actually compete with traditional banking, well, our source says they got stomped on.
Stomped on. Ouch.
Yeah. Legal battles, shutdowns. It showed a huge weakness. Relying on one central point of trust makes you vulnerable, technically and politically. Then, in 2008, this pseudonymous person, or maybe group, Satoshi Nakamoto, they finally cracked it. They didn't necessarily invent brand new things, but they brilliantly combined like 4 or 5 existing ideas that people had worked on before, put them together in this incredible combination that just worked.
And the key was?
The core shift, the real breakthrough, was moving trust. Not having it in an institution or a central authority, but spreading that trust across the entire network. That was the game changer.
Spreading the trust. Okay, that's a big idea. So how does this actually work, this decentralized money thing? How does it function without a central bank checking everything? How does everyone agree on what's true?
So Bitcoin works as something called a consensus assets ledger.
Consensus assets ledger.
Okay. Yeah, basically imagine a huge public list. It's constantly updated, shows every single transaction that's ever happened on the Bitcoin network. And the crucial part is everyone using the network agrees on the exact truth of that list. All the time. There's no single company, no government, no one person in charge of it. It's shared. Immutable.
Okay, so how do they reach that agreement? How does everyone stay on the same page?
Through a process called mining.
Mining, right, but not like digging in the ground.
Exactly, not physical digging. It's more like a global competition. These specialized computers, miners, they use their processing power to solve this really, really difficult math puzzle. Think of it like a giant, super complex Sudoku puzzle.
A global Sudoku competition.
Sort of. And on average, every 10 minutes, one computer somewhere in the world finds the solution. And finding that solution lets them create the next block of transactions. This block gets added to the chain of all the previous blocks, hence blockchain, and that secures the whole ledger.
And what do the miners get for doing all this complex puzzle solving?
Ah, the reward. They get two things. First, newly created Bitcoin. Right now, it's 25 new Bitcoin every 10 minutes.
25. Wow.
Yeah, but that number gets cut in half roughly every 4 years. It's called the halving, until a fixed total of 21 million Bitcoin exists. That's the absolute cap.
Okay.
And second, they also collect the small transaction fees that people include when they send Bitcoin. This whole system, the puzzle solving and the reward, that's called proof of work.
Proof of work. So it's not just about the puzzle, it's the security behind it. How does all that computing power stop cheating?
Exactly right. It's not just a random puzzle. It requires a massive, measurable amount of computational energy, real-world energy.
Yeah.
This makes it incredibly expensive, like prohibitively expensive for anyone to try and cheat the system, to try and fake a block or rewrite the history.
Because they need what?
Yeah.
More power than everyone else combined.
Pretty much. They need to match or beat the computing power of the entire global network of honest miners. It's security through, well, sheer, transparent, verifiable cost and collective effort. And what's really interesting is this decentralized security. It's actually way, way cheaper than all the stuff traditional banks use. Guards, armored trucks, vaults, data centers, fraud departments. All that adds up globally. Bitcoin secures itself with math and energy, often more efficiently.
That's a really powerful point about efficiency. Okay, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the price swings. Bitcoin's volatility is, well, famous. How can something that bounces around so much be useful as money if its value can halve or double so quickly? That seems like a major problem for stability, doesn't it?
It's a totally valid question, and yeah, it gets right to the heart of things when a market is new and growing. Our source uses a great metaphor for this. Think of a massive economy like the US dollar, say, $14 trillion. It's like the Titanic. It's huge. It takes like 3 miles just to turn 10 degrees. Its sheer size makes it incredibly stable.
Okay, the Titanic. Stable, but slow to turn.
Right. Now picture Bitcoin with its current market size. Maybe around $10 billion when the source material was recorded, though it fluctuates. It's like a little Zodiac boat bouncing around right next to that Titanic.
Zodiac boat. Okay, I can picture that.
It's nimble, right? It can move fast, but it's also bouncing up and down on every wave. It's volatile. Its market cap is still relatively, well, puny for an international currency, and that leads to what traders call shallow liquidity.
Shallow liquidity. Can you just quickly explain what that means?
Sure. It just means that because the market is still relatively small compared to, say, the market for US dollars, there aren't as many buyers and sellers ready to trade at any given price at any given moment. So even a medium-sized buy or sell order can cause the price to swing quite a bit. Those are the big waves we see the Zodiac bouncing on.
Like making a splash in a small pool versus the ocean.
Exactly like that. The impact is much bigger in the smaller pool. But, and this is important, historically, if you look at the long-term trend, as the network has grown, that volatility has actually been decreasing, slowly but steadily. And how is its value set? It's just a free market, right? What people are willing to pay. Precisely. It's determined purely by supply and demand, by what people are actually paying to buy and sell Bitcoin on exchanges at any given moment, just like stocks or gold or anything else traded freely.
Okay, that makes sense. And speaking of value and size, only 21 million Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Ever. Is that really enough for the whole world? It sounds like a really small number for a global currency.
Yeah, that's another great question, and the answer often surprises people. See, each single Bitcoin can actually be divided into 100 million smaller units.
100 million.
Yep. Each tiny unit is called a Satoshi, named after the founder. So while there are only 21 million Bitcoin, there are 21 quadrillion Satoshis in total.
Quadrillion. Okay, that's a lot more zeros.
Right. So that extreme divisibility means it can be used for literally any size transaction, huge international deals, or buying a coffee. You could easily pay for small things using millibits, that's 1,000th of a Bitcoin, or even smaller amounts. There's more than enough granularity for global use.
Got it. Okay, so beyond the tech, the mining, the divisibility, what are the real-world implications? Why should someone listening right now actually care about this? What difference does it make?
I think its profound importance really hits home when you think about what the source calls the other 6 billion.
The other 6 billion.
Yeah, the billions of people on Earth who have very limited or often zero access to traditional banking. For them, Bitcoin isn't just a cool tech thing. It's potentially an unprecedented opportunity. A chance to fundamentally change how we tackle global poverty and how we connect the entire planet's economic system in a fairer way. Let's look at some concrete examples. Think about international money transfers, remittances. Every year, migrant workers send something like $500 billion back home to their families. It's huge. But guess how much gets eaten up by fees? Around $74 billion.
$74 billion just in fees.
Just in fees. And for people sending money to poorer countries, maybe like Somalia, those fees can be insane, like 30, even 40%.
Why?
Bitcoin could potentially give that $74 billion back, directly transfer value with minimal cost. That's life-changing money for millions, maybe billions of people. Or think about financial freedom. Imagine you live somewhere like Argentina, where maybe your currency loses 18% of its value in a week.
That's terrifying.
It is. And on top of that, you might face capital controls, rules stopping you from moving your money out or protecting your savings. Bitcoin gives people in those situations a choice, a way to hold on to value, to control their own money outside of government or corporate systems, safe from that kind of inflation. People are already using it there, buying it on the black market because they're desperate for an alternative.
So it's a lifeline in unstable places.
It can be. And it's not just those big examples. Our source mentions, even a taxi driver in Germany using it for convenience, or people in risky situations like sex workers using it for safer transactions where physical cash is dangerous. It's incredibly diverse.
So it's definitely more than just sending money faster or cheaper. Does the impact go even deeper than that?
Oh, absolutely. Much deeper. It opens the door to things like smart law or smart contracts.
Smart contracts. What are those?
Imagine you could set up something like a trust fund or a will directly on the Bitcoin network. You could program it. When my child turns 18, automatically send them X amount of Bitcoin.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. Once you set that up on the decentralized network, based on its rules, no one can stop it. No one can reverse it. No court, no bank, no government can invalidate that programmed instruction decades later.
Wow. So the agreement executes itself based on the code.
Exactly. It's not just decentralizing money. It's fundamentally decentralizing decision-making. Agreements that run on mathematical certainty, not on intermediaries who might fail or be pressured. The implications for law, for contracts, for property, even governance, they're huge.
That sounds truly revolutionary.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like there could be risks. We hear stories about crypto hacks, people losing their money. Has Bitcoin itself been hacked? Can your Bitcoin be stolen?
That's a really important distinction to make. The Bitcoin network itself, the core protocol, it has never been hacked. It's incredibly secure.
Never.
But have people had their Bitcoin stolen? Absolutely yes. But it almost always happens because of problems on the user's end.
Like what?
Like their computer getting infected with malware, or using a really weak password, or falling for a phishing scam, clicking a bad link, or just losing their private keys, the secret code that controls their Bitcoin.
Right. The keys are everything.
They are. And unlike your bank account, if your Bitcoin gets sent from your address because someone got your keys, there's no central help desk to call. No one can reverse the transaction. It's like teleporting digital cash. Once it's gone, it's gone.
So security is really on the individual user.
It really is. Things like using two-factor authentication are vital. A lot of people create paper wallets, too, basically printing out their private keys on paper and locking them away in a physical safe, totally offline.
Offline storage. Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there are those crazy stories, right? The guy who threw out a hard drive with like 9 million Bitcoin on it.
Oh, man, I heard about that. Painful.
Or the student who found an old laptop and discovered nearly $1 million worth of Bitcoin he'd mined years ago and forgotten about.
So, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the good news is the tools are getting better. Things like multi-signature wallets where you need multiple keys to approve a transaction, or decentralized escrow services. They're making it safer for regular people.
Okay, that's reassuring. Now, what about the other big perception issue? That Bitcoin is mainly used for, illegal stuff, crime. And how do governments feel about it? Regulation.
Right, let's tackle those. First, in the U.S., the legal stance is actually pretty clear. FinCEN, that's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, they've said Bitcoin is legal.
Yep.
It's treated basically like any other foreign currency for taxes. You pay income tax if you earn it, capital gains tax if you profit from selling it. Pretty standard.
And the prime connection.
Yeah.
The Silk Road stories.
Yeah, you hear those sensational headlines. And look, is Bitcoin used by criminals? Yes. Just like the internet is used by criminals. Just like US dollars are used by criminals. Any powerful tool can be used for good or bad. But the idea that it's primarily a criminal currency, that narrative doesn't really hold up when you look at the bigger picture. Well, consider traditional money. U.S. dollars are, by far, the currency used most for crime globally. Think about it. Massive money laundering operations often happen right within the regulated banking system. Our source points to the HSBC case, fined $1.7 billion for laundering money for Mexican drug cartels. And guess what? No one went to jail.
$1.7 billion and no jail time.
Right. So traditional systems can enable huge illicit flows, often with less traceability and less personal accountability than a public blockchain like Bitcoin's, where every transaction is recorded forever. Right. Bitcoin is used by everyone from, school teachers managing PTA funds to, yes, some criminals too. It's a tool for society.
That's a really important perspective. What about governments trying to ban it? We've seen attempts in places like Russia or China. Does that hurt Bitcoin?
Well, some countries definitely have restrictive policies, not just on Bitcoin, but on the internet itself, right? Sure. But does that devalue the internet? No. And it doesn't really devalue Bitcoin either. Especially in places like the U.S., there's actually legal history supporting private currencies, plus constitutional protections around speech and property. The whole point of a decentralized network is that no single government can just switch it off. Its value comes from its global user base and its utility, not from any one country saying yes or no.
Fascinating. Okay, one of the biggest mysteries, for me anyway, is the creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. Who is this person or people?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the billion-dollar question now. Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym, an online identity.
So nobody knows who they really are?
Nobody knows for sure. No one's ever met them, verifiably. It could be a man, a woman, a small group, anyone, anywhere. They released the code, participated in forums for a couple of years, and then just vanished. Our source uses this really powerful parallel. Think of Prometheus from Greek mythology.
Okay, stole fire from the gods.
Exactly. Prometheus stole fire, gave it to humans, and then the gods punished him, horribly tied to a rock, eagle eating his liver, the whole deal.
Right. Gruesome.
Satoshi Nakamoto gave money to the people, this decentralized mathematical money, and then disappeared. Why? Because, as the source puts it, he's smart enough, or she's smart enough, not to get tied to a rock.
Staying anonymous was a survival strategy.
Almost certainly. A deliberate move to protect themselves, and maybe more importantly, to protect the project, to ensure it remained truly decentralized, without a single leader or figurehead who could be pressured, arrested, or co-opted. It prevents what happened to those earlier digital cash systems.
That's actually brilliant, in a way. Okay, looking ahead then, where does Bitcoin go from here? Is it going to replace the dollar? Take over the world?
Well, it's useful to think about the network effect. You might have heard of Metcalfe's law.
Vaguely. Remind me.
It basically says the value of a network grows exponentially as more people join it. Each new person, or node, adds way more potential connections and value than the one before them. Yeah. That's exactly how the internet grew from this tiny academic thing into the global force it is today. And Bitcoin, it's showing the exact same pattern. More users, more developers, more businesses joining. The value of the network keeps growing. Now, will it replace the US dollar? Probably not, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah.
For many of us, the dollar works reasonably well. It's stable enough day to day.
Right.
But remember those other 180 or so national currencies? Many of them are, frankly, terrible. Hyperinflation, instability. Our source colorfully calls some of them worth less than goat shit.
Okay.
For the billions of people living with those currencies, Bitcoin offers a genuinely stable alternative, a potential path out of poverty driven by monetary failure. It's not necessarily about replacing the best currencies, but offering a much better option than the worst ones. At the end of the day, it comes back to that core idea. Let's trust math.
Trust math.
Yeah. Bitcoin doesn't depend on a politician's promise, or a CEO's decision, or a central bank's policy. It runs on open source code that anyone can inspect. Its rules are based on verifiable mathematics. It's democratizing money in the same way the internet democratized information. It lets value flow based on transparent rules, not opaque institutions.
So wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you listening right now?
Yeah.
I guess it means we're witnessing the early days of something potentially huge, a fundamental shift, kind of like watching the internet being born. We're moving from a world where trust in our money system relies on, let's face it, fallible human institutions, towards one where trust can be based on, well, on math, immutable, transparent math.
Exactly. And that raises this really big question, doesn't it? How will society adapt? How will governments, businesses, individuals, how will we all adjust to a world where value can be sent and secured using decentralized math completely outside the old systems? What does that mean for everything from, I don't know, personal freedom to global power dynamics?
Yeah. When money becomes potentially as free, as accessible, as borderless as information is on the internet, what new possibilities does that unlock for humanity? And maybe what new challenges does it create? It's definitely something to think about. Well, if you found this deep dive as fascinating as we did, please do follow, like, and share the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps. And for more insights into Bitcoin and everything around it, you can follow What Bitcoin Taught Me on QuitterX, Nostr, Bluesky, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Lots of places. Thanks for diving deep with us today.